welcome back. Our next game that we have is
Vocaoduru.
Okay, thank you. Vocaoduru with David, and why don't you give us a little...
Yeah, absolutely.
pitch?
So,
Yeah.
Vocaoduru is a virtual reality rhythm game. So as you can see, it's
It's playing.
yeah, it's playing. It's similar to games like Just Dance that are a very common rhythm game in the industry. Except with Just Dance, you're in 2 dimensions, but adding the feature of virtual reality, you now step into the 3rd dimension, where you can now get full body movements and full dance moves for the player. And on top of that, we wanted the player to be able to stream their performance as if it was a music video to a live audience. So from there, we decided to create a cinematography system that would be able to create a real-time music video of the player's character as they're dancing. So a stream audience or a Twitch audience can go on and watch their favorite streamer do lots of different dance moves of different songs as a Japanese Vocaloid.
So you've got a lot of different elements going on here between the rhythm game, the dancing, the cinematography, the streaming. It seems like the core experience is fairly concise, fairly tight, but you've branched into a lot of auxiliary routes.
Right.
Did you find that actually caused fragmentation in the project? Did it cause a little bit of distraction? Did you guys end up focusing on just 1 or 2 routes and being like, okay, this is what we're going to own for this semester, for this project?
Right. So yeah, we did notice a decent amount of fragmentation, specifically because we were a 3-person team. It kind of fragmented as it would into 3 different parts. In the end, we were really able to bring 2 of the parts together and make it into more gameplay and the cinematography system. But in the end, we noticed it was really almost 2 different fully encapsulated projects that kind of spoke to each other along the lines of the cinematography system and streaming aspect and the game.
Well, that's actually not necessarily a bad thing to have.
Right.
If they at least talk to each other fluently, it's not bad for sections of the project to be compartmentalized. But if the fragmentation hurt the vision of the project, then that can be where things get rough.
Yeah, personally, I would have loved to see a lot more focus on the gameplay being polished. So as you saw in the start of the trailer, it was very much like in the early stages of development. I would have, we did not have a full-time artist, so I did my best as a technical person to create all my own art in 3D models. However, there's only so much that we could get to, with also adding in that streaming system.
Sure, so gameplay-wise, give us an example of something you would like to have done.
Additionally, on top of this, we would have loved to have like a very just a smoother experience. Especially for me, what I wanted to see was maybe some different options for how the next dance moves showed up and were displayed onto the screen. So we kind of had several different ideas. One being another dancer showing you how it was going to be done, but in that motion, it's like hard to tell where the next point is going to be. So then we kind of took a step back and keyframed everything into a 2D keyframe and had that scrolling across the screen, which is typical in a lot of rhythm games.
Yep.
But then you again lose that aspect of the 3rd dimension. So it was really kind of hard to see how that was going to work out, and we were thinking about maybe having different like bubbles popping up in the world around you of, this is where your hand should move to next, and different stuff like
So
that.
by losing 3rd dimension, you mean losing the actual depth of moving forward or back in your moves?
Right. So obviously you could have a dance move where maybe the player might like do a little spin to like side to side.
Yeah.
But is that hands crossed in front of them, or that back behind them, one in front, stuff like that? Which is that's the whole idea of the virtual reality. That's what makes it different from just having a 2D rhythm game.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just kind of silhouette matching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So with the dancing game, or with dancing, it's about like body positioning, body movement. With VR, you basically only have the head and the hands tracked. Were there any limitations that you ran into with that, or?
Yeah. So like I said, the turning around, the movements like that. Some of our dance moves had full 360 spins. Stuff like the headset being corded. That's a huge limitation and constraint for us. So we had to try to find only songs that you might do like a 180 kind of thing, but not full 360.
Undo the 180.
Exactly. So at that point we're like hand selecting, which we're trying to make it so that people could just upload a song and it would keyframe itself and split and create it auto-generated, which was very difficult to see that work out.
Yeah, I mean, you look at something like, Guitar Hero in its heyday, and they were doing all this stuff by hands.
Yeah,
It's like,
If you want it done
right, you sometimes just have to force your way through it.
Exactly. But in terms of the other constraints, we also wanted to see like the foot motions and stuff in there. So then you got to put foot trackers on. So it's a matter of like how many trackers are you really going to want to put on a player, and how much can you expect a normal player to afford all of these trackers? But again, that's it was kind of a necessity if we wanted to see that that big step away from the 2D, to see the player actually moving around, being able to see it actually tracked to the player's character and for the camera system, because otherwise you only have the upper body motions mounted to that
Unless you
character.
ended up combining it with depth reader, like the old style Kinects.
Right.
I don't even know if those are still a thing. Like,
We got a new one coming out, right?
Really?
There's the Intel one.
It's interesting to hear about some of the challenges you're facing, because Firehose, which prototyped Dance Central, went through a lot of these at the same time. But I wanted to switch to the other side. We're talking about gameplay, but you also have a cinematography engine. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we wanted to create a system that would be allow players to stream virtual reality. And as I mentioned before, virtual reality games and streaming, you end up with either two situations typically. One, a very static view, typically the player's view, which can be nauseating to the audience, or it's a static view from behind the player, in which case it's kind of boring. Or you end up with a streamer who's going to invest a lot of money into a separate camera system with a green screen behind them and creating this whole elaborate setup just to be able to stream. And then you're only seeing their actual physical person. You're not being able to see, their Vocaloid character in game. So we wanted to create a system that would make a music video in real time. So as the player is playing, it would create different shots. So it would select, let's determine what a medium shot is on a player. Do we want to focus on the player or the crowd? And we used a utility-based AI system that would break down all the shot components of cinematography and create a shot and create a composition and feed it forward and put it into a stream on Twitch, and then use people's feedback in the Twitch comment section to give our feedback into a reinforcement learning loop into and back into the cinematography system. Obviously, we did not do any textual analysis. That would be a whole another project in and of itself. So we said, okay, if we really wanted to, we can pull something off the shelf and plug it in here for now, for the time being, for testing. We did a lot of hard-coded values, but it was really interesting to see, because you then had a different camera system for each streamer. So depending on the audience's cinematography preferences, you could see it adapt in different ways throughout the music.
that actually I could see being very tailored to the audience. I could see streamers getting a kick out of that.
Right.
That's basically streaming their workout too, though.
Yeah.
Well, last question. Who wants to lob it?
I nominate Graham.
Sure. So when you were doing this cinematography, you talked about utility AI, choosing between the different shots. Was there a lot of research or resources that you pulled from for cinematography and that sort of understanding the whole world?
Right. Yeah. So I did as much as I could, using internet and my resources around me for learning cinematography. I've done some in the past myself. I'm no professional in terms of the artificial intelligence side of stuff. I used a modern approach to AI as my holy Bible in learning that, because I had no prior experience of that. As for cinematography, I was really just kind of doing the best I could with it, and really kind of letting it go off to the player to the audience to determine what makes a good shot. I just opened up as many variables as possible and just fed it to the audience to tune themselves.
Very cool.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
スナップパスティクに回り出す